When they had come near Jerusalem, Jesus sent 2 disciples into the city and said to them,
"Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey and a colt. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately."
In the old days, the prophet wrote these words, and the people remembered them.
Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you humble and riding on a donkey and a colt.
The disciples went and did as Jesus told them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks upon them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut palm branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed him were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was asking,
"Who is this?"
The crowd said,
"This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee."
Then one of the 12, who was called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said,
"What will you give me if I deliver him to you?"
and they paid him 30 pieces of silver. And from that moment, he sought an opportunity to betray him. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying,
"Where will you have us prepare for you to eat the Passover?"
He said,
"Go into the city to a certain one and say to him, 'The teacher says, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.'"
And the disciples did as Jesus had directed them, and they prepared the Passover. When it was evening, he sat at the table with the 12 disciples, and as they were eating, he said,
"Truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me."
and they were very sorrowful, and began to say to him one after another,
"Is it I, Lord?"
Is it I, Lord?
Is it I, Lord?
Is it I, Lord?
He answered,
"He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born."
Judas, who betrayed him, said,
"Is it I, Master?"
He said to him,
"You have said so."
Now as they were eating, Jesus took bread, and blessed and broke it, and gave it to the disciples, and said,
"Take, eat, this is my body."
And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying,
"Drink of it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I shall not drink again of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it with you in my Father's kingdom."
And when they had sung a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them,
"You will all fall away because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. But after I am raised up, I will go before you to Galilee."
Peter declared to him,
Though they all fall away because of you, I will never fall away.
Jesus said to him,
"Truly I say to you, this very night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times.
Peter said to him,
Even if I must die with you, I will not deny you.
And so all the disciples. Then Jesus went with them in a place called Gethsemane. And he said to the disciples,
Sit here while I go and pray."
and taking with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them,
"My soul is very sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and watch with me."
and going a little farther, he fell on his face and prayed,
"My Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt."
And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter,
So could you not watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Again, for a second time, he went away and prayed.
My Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, thy will be done.
And again he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for a third time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples and said to them,
Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand.
While he was speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying,
The one I shall greet is the man. Seize him.
And he came up to Judas once and said,
Hail, Master.
and he kissed him. Jesus said to him,
Friend, why are you here?
Then they came up and laid hands on Jesus and seized him. And behold, one of those who were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Jesus said to him,
Put your sword back into its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then should the scriptures be fulfilled, that it must be so?
At that hour, Jesus said to the crowds,
Have you come out against a robber with swords and clubs to capture me? Day after day, I sat in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. But all this has taken place, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled.
Then all the disciples forsook him and fled. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him,
Are you the king of the Jews?
Jesus said to him,
You have said so.
but when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he made no answer. Then Pilate said to him,
Do you not hear how many things they testify against you?
But he gave no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor wondered greatly. Now at the feast, the governor was accustomed to release for the crowd any one prisoner whom they wanted, and they had then a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when they had gathered, Pilate said to them,
Whom do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?
for he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered him up. Besides, while he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him,
Have nothing to do with that religious man, for I have suffered much over him today in a dream.
Now the chief priest and the elders persuaded the people to ask for Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor again said to them,
Which of the two do you want me to release for you?
and they said,
Barabbas!
Pilate said to them,
Then what shall I do with Jesus, who is called the Christ?
they all said,
Let him be crucified.
and he said,
Why? What evil has he done?
but they shouted all the more.
Let him be crucified.
So when Pilate saw he was gaining nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying,
I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves.
Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium, and they gathered the whole battalion before him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe upon him, and plaiting a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and put a reed in his right hand, and kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying,
Hail, King of the Jews!
And they spat upon him, and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe, and put his own clothes on him. and led him away to crucify him.
As they went out, they came upon a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. This man they compelled to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of a skull, they offered him wine to drink, mingled with the gall, but when he tasted it, he would not drink it.
And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among them by casting lots. Then they sat down and kept watch over him there. And over his head they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." Then 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on the right and one on the left. And those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads and saying,
You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross.
So also the chief priests and the scribes and elders mocked him, saying,
He saved others. He cannot save himself. If he is the King of Israel, let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God deliver him now, if he desires him, for he said, I am the Son of God.
And when the robbers who were crucified with him also reviled him in the same way. Now from the 6th hour there was a darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And then in the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice,
Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
that is,
My God, why hast thou forsaken me?
and some of the bystanders hearing it said,
This man is calling Elijah.
and one of them at once ran and took a sponge, filled it with vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave it to him to drink. But the others said,
Wait, let's see if whether Elijah will come to save him.
And Jesus cried again with a loud voice and yielded up his spirit.
and behold, a curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. When the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said,
Truly, this was the Son of God.